Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday morning. I have my coffee. I have my security glasses on so that you can't see the bags under my eyes. But this is real. This is just Saturday morning and it's budgeting. And I really like to spend tiny parts of my weekend getting organized for the week ahead. Nothing worse to me than waking up Monday morning and it being like, okay, what do I have to do this week? Because Monday morning is just not great on its own. And so it's like a hair. And so I like to spend it on a little bit on Saturday, a little bit on Sunday, making sure that I'm ready for the week. And creating a mini budget is something that I will often do, especially in the beginning of the year, as I'm getting organized, as I am trying to decide where does my money need to go this year. And to back up kind of what the difference or what a mini budget is, a mini budget is something that we create to know how much money we need to have for something, right? And so it's really easy to say, okay, I'm going to have a vacation line in my budget. I'm going to have home repairs in my budget. I'm going to have my wedding in my budget. But how much money do we actually need for those things, right? It doesn't work to just simply say, okay, wedding, we're only going to spend 20 grand, right? Vacation, let's try to keep it under like $3,000. Those are just numbers that you're completely making up that A, you don't know if you can afford, B, you don't know if it's enough for that item. And also, this is the worst one, you might be saving too much money, right? Like, what's the point in saving $3,000 for a vacation if you're going to Mexico, you got really cheap flights and you know guaranteed that you can go for under 1,000, right? Like, we're now like making things harder on ourselves. And so I love a mini budget. I break things down with my clients on a regular basis. I try to teach them to all of you as well because it takes so little effort and it is huge payouts at the end, I promise. And don't get stressed out about like, I don't know how much this is going to cost. Flights are always up and down, or who knows what construction labor is going to be. This is just to give us an idea of what are we looking at? How much should I start aiming to save for? And then we can adjust the plan as we go along, right? That's what all of this budgeting stuff is about. It's about having enough knowledge, getting some data. I love data backed into why we're doing something, backing it. And then as we learn, as we figure out things along the way, okay, maybe I do need to save a little bit more because who knew that wood was going to be so expensive and contractors are 6 months behind because of a global pandemic, right? Or who knew that flights are now only $100 because no one is going anywhere and the airlines are desperate. And so now we can make this trip even more affordable. So let's get started. Let's jump into a mini budget. And also, I chose a vacation. So we're doing a vacation budget, but I'm also going to give you a sneak peek into the couple of other templates that I have. But vacation budget, and we're doing Puerto Rico because I was inspired. A friend of mine is getting married this year, and we're going to Mexico for her bachelorette party. And she doesn't know where we're going to Mexico. And so I can't do a budget off of that trip because I want to keep it a surprise. So I picked Puerto Rico. This would have been a great opportunity. I'm just going to call y'all out to have sent me a budget, a mini budget idea that you needed for your life this year. You could have said, hey, Kelly, how much do trips from Minneapolis to Arizona cost in September? Because I have to go and I need to know how much it costs and I don't want to do the budget. I want to do it for me. So I'm here holding you guys accountable, making you realize that we can make this simpler. We don't have to make this more difficult. Let's do the work. Let's use me as I'm reaching out in the group and I'm saying, hey, give me your ideas. I want to do these examples for you guys. I want to do real life examples. Use me so that I can do your examples. Okay, enough about that. Let's get going. So I'm going to share my screen and we are going to jump right into the budget on Puerto Rico. So here we are. And I'm going to, okay, Puerto Rico, never been. So this is going to be exciting. This is going to be new for me. And this is the template that I have. If you want this template, send me a note, DM me a letter perchance. You can also just in the recording of this video, comment below and say, I'm needing that, right? And so I use this, I created this template because I needed it and I actually use it. I have so many vacation budgets using these templates. It's really helpful. And then the more often that you do it, the less time you spend on it, because you know about, on average, knowing what you like to do and the types of vacations you like to take, how much it's going to cost. So Puerto Rico, there's all these different categories in this template. There are transportation, accommodation, food and beverage, shopping. So I kind of just start at the top and go down the list. And what that lets me do is it says, these are the different categories that I have to think about, that I need to do. Hi, Danielle. That we need to do to make sure that we are following our vacation budget. And so right away, flight or rental car. And I know if we're going to Puerto Rico, we want to do the flight because I cannot drive there. And so this is, we're doing this live time, right, you guys? So I'm just going to go into Google Flights. And this is usually where I just do things. And I'm in Portland. I'm going to change this to Minneapolis because I know a lot of you guys are in Minneapolis. And I'm going to say that I want to go to Puerto Rico. And I'm not even sure which airport that I should go into. I believe this is the international one, so let's try that. And we're gonna make this trip for March sometime. We're gonna do spring break. It's January, so prices are gonna be a little bit more expensive than they probably would be, but let's go with it. So we're gonna say, we're gonna go the 9th through the 13th. Okay, so here we are, the 9th through the 13th, going to Puerto Rico from Minneapolis. Costs of flights are around $370 all the way up to like $460 for a round trip, for probably some of like the more premier flights. And so what I would recommend that you do for this is I would say, okay, am I a nonstop flight person? Am I okay with a couple of layovers? Do I want to leave at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Kind of do a little bit of assessment. And of course, this is just an estimate, but maybe find a flight that you're okay with. And then say, okay, that's probably one that I would choose. And that's one that I'm okay with paying that amount of money for. And so it looks like you're for sure going to have at least one stop. And then I usually try to look for one that has the least amount of time. This one's $400, and it's part of the best departing flights. So let's go with $400. And then we're going to choose our returning flight. I don't like to return in the morning, but I also don't want to get back too late, and I don't know what my options are. $2,000, that's not going to be in the budget. I can tell you that for a fact. I also don't want to leave at 2 o'clock in the morning, so we're going to go with this one. Okay, so our flight is $454. So I go back to my template and I say it's $454. I also want to know public transportation, and that's a really good one. If you are trying to figure out how much is a shuttle from, or does my hotel offer a shuttle service? Do I take a cab? Am I really close to the airport? Let's come back to this one. Let's figure out where we're staying first, okay? So next, I'm gonna do some Airbnbs. I quickly glanced at, and now I'm gonna get all these emails about Puerto Rico. Okay, Puerto Rico. And we are going to do the March dates. And we said the 9th through the 13th. So let's make sure that we're choosing the right days. And then we're just going to have 2 guests. Let's say it's going to be me and my husband. So here we are looking at places, $117 a night. Look at these nightly prices, $160, $139. The one thing that I did notice on my research to Puerto Rico was it is very similar to US prices, right? Compared to the Mexico trip that I'm planning right now. And it's much, much less cheaper than this. And so you need to take that into account, because maybe you decide after doing this whole entire budget, I just can't afford it. It's too expensive. It doesn't mean you can't afford to go on vacation. It means you can't afford to go to Puerto Rico on those dates, right? So be a little bit flexible with yourself. This is just giving us some data. So I'm going to say it's about, I'm going to say 150 a night. That seems to be like a pretty good estimate. And we are going to be there 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, 4 nights. So I'm just going to put $150 in the 4 nights. And of course, if there are any questions, throw them into the chat and then we can discuss them. But this is very much just how long it takes. And you guys can see that it doesn't take that much time to just get an estimate. on how much it's gonna cost us. So we decided on an Airbnb. It's about $454 for the flight. Let's go back to this public transportation and see how much cabs are. I cheated a little bit, and there are some cheat sheets of just some great websites. I want to show you guys these examples of working smarter, not harder, when researching how much things cost. So MyFab Finance, she's amazing. If you guys don't ever look at her stuff, she does really great, just like real numbers and traveling. And she did a trip to Puerto Rico, and she says here they booked a studio, 370 total, about 185 person a night. She says exactly the things that she did. They did a tour guide. They rented their own car to see Puerto Rico their way, rather than paying a tour guide $90 to do the rainforest. They did the national park system. We drove around and toured absolutely free. So she gives you really good advice on like things that you can do, and not just her, but there are other travel bloggers as well. Average cost of trips to Puerto Rico. This will give you tripnumbers.com. They, I'm sure, do a whole bunch of cities. They'll say like 1 week for 2 people probably costs about this much. And while this will give you, if you have 5 seconds to create a mini budget, a really good idea. If you have an hour, let's dig into, like this will say like these are the flight costs of each of the months. So maybe you decide February actually isn't that bad compared to like July. And then the same with prices for hotels. July is really expensive. March is actually super, super cheap. One thing that we want to maybe look into is March some sort of season that we don't want to be there for? Is it rainy season? Is it hurricane season? Obviously things going into a travel budget that you want to be aware of, but we're going to stick with our March date. We don't want to change too much right now. But we want to look at transportation. Okay, airport transfers, average price, they don't even have anything. Okay, taxi is about $8. Airport transfer costs, the average cost of a 20-minute taxi ride is about $9. So this is assuming that we're within 20 minutes, $9. I'm going to say, I like to round things up a little bit. I'm going to say $15 in case we're an hour away each way. So then I'm going to say $30. And instead of public transportation, I'm just going to change this category to airport taxi. And then you can always add comments and stuff along the way to say $15 each way or 9 trip each way. Okay, let's go down to food and beverage. So in this lovely website that we're just on, I'm going to search for food. Okay, you should plan to spend around $140 per day on your trip for 1 person and around $200 for 2 people. This budget includes accommodation, lunch, street food, drinks. Okay, we already know we don't need to include accommodation, right? So we just need to find out how much drinks cost. So we don't want to use that number. Let's see if we can find how much drinks cost. Okay, here we go. Soft drinks about $1.50. And always look at the dates, of course, in these websites. We want to make sure that we're not looking at an article from 2010. A beer is about $3. Alcoholic beverage is about like $5 or $6. And so I'm going to jump down to the drinks. We're there for 4 days. I'm going to assume that we are kind of 5 days, but we'll say 5. I'm going to assume that I'm going to have 4 drinks a day, because that's going to be 2 drinks at lunch, 2 drinks at dinner. So 4 drinks a day. And I always like to do formulas times 5 days. And that is 20. So $20 or 4 drinks a day, 5 days is 20. So 20 drinks times, and I'm just going to average it to like $5. Some were 6, some were 3 or 4. Okay, so this is going to say that we're going to spend $100 on drinks. Wonderful. Let's go down to this website doesn't have anything about dinner. Let's see what dinner costs on here. Dinner for 2. Oh, and I forgot to double it so that Derek can have beverages, right? These are just my beverages. I didn't even think about. So we're going to say $200. Don't forget to include your spouse if they're going to be drinking and eating as well, probably. Dinner for 2 is about $40, $35. Street food is only about $12. So let's say that we want to do a couple dinners on the street and a couple dinners in the restaurant. So dinner, we're going to say 2 people. Dinner for 2 is, let's say 33, so $66. plus 20, we'll round it up to 25. And I hope I'm doing the math correct live on this. If it's not, adjust as needed, right? Okay. And then street food, local snacks, she doesn't have any prices for. I'm just gonna, sometimes when there's not snacks or like average cost of like food a little bit deeper down, I like to just throw in a number, 15 bucks. Let's just like add a little bit. I don't want to not have any money for snacks because especially if you're traveling, I want to eat all the food, right? So, and this is dinner. It doesn't say lunch is a mid-range coverage. It's gonna be cost you something between the two. Okay, I'm just gonna add also dinner is 90. I'm gonna add 45 for lunch for the two of us. Okay. Breakfast, I'm gonna eat at our hotel. I'm not gonna worry about that one. Or I can even just put like $10. These are the type of areas where if you have it in your budget, if you're maybe debt free, if you have a higher income, feel free to just buffer up everything. If this is like I'm in the middle of my debt free journey, I need to know exactly how much things are gonna cost me. Don't buffer and don't add money for breakfast if you know you're just gonna like, if your hotel offers it, or if you're just gonna eat granola bars or you're not a big breakfast person, right? Okay, so going down shopping. I'm not a huge shopper on vacation, and so this isn't really like, oh, they don't have souvenirs. They don't have the word shopping either. Okay, let's see if she has it. Nope. Our trip in total, including souvenirs. Okay, she didn't break that down. I think for this, like sometimes people like to buy, like if you're very minimalist, you buy like a coffee mug or a keychain or something like that. If you're the person that likes to buy the t-shirts and all the stuff, then maybe you want to buffer a little bit more. I'm just going to buffer 25 bucks, knowing that we can grab a couple things. We usually maybe will grab some coffee to bring home. So I'll budget 15 bucks for that, knowing that that should be plenty to buy at least one bag of coffee. And at the end of the day, I'm always okay with, if coffee is really expensive in Puerto Rico and it's $20 a bag, I just won't buy it, right? So if this is something that you really want to know for a fact how much it costs, because you know you want to bring it home, dive in and look at, I mean, we can even just Google right now. How much is a bag? This is like Googling how much does coffee cost in America? Like there's a billion different prices, you never know. And 20 bags, we don't need that many. I'm just going to leave it because this is something like so simple where you probably don't need to like dig into like the exact price of it. But if you are gifts to bring home, if you're buying something, if you have kids and you want to bring something for your mom and dad, and maybe your in-laws, your neighbor was watching your dog, that starts to add up. And so I hope that you guys see like that's when you would actually want to start like really figuring out how much your souvenirs cost. But if we're just going ourselves, we're going to buy a coffee mug and a bag of coffee, it's probably not that big of a deal. So let's go into day. Let's see here what you would have it. Oh, a group tour is about 40 bucks. Shows or a theater is about 30 bucks. We're very much a kind of a beach or like hiking, and we don't really do a lot of like the toury things. I know that she found this national park. And again, this is on my cheating when I was researching how much does Puerto Rico cost in the beginning, right? So she said renting our own car. So we kind of read that in the beginning. The national park system, we drove and toured absolutely free. El Yunque, I've totally said that wrong, I'm sorry. It's about an hour and 20 from San Juan. We stopped into the visitor center, paid $4 to use the restroom, and obtained helpful information from the help desk. They checked out the falls, lighthouse. So for $4, she did this, plus she had to rent a car. So maybe we want to look at how much are rental cars in Puerto Rico. Let's see what Kayak has to say. And we need to change our dates. Oops, to March 9th. Oh no. Oh, which one was? Do you guys remember where we were flying into? San Juan. I wonder if I have to type that in. Okay. We're going to do the 9th, do the 13th. Why is this so complicated? The 9th. This is why it's so complicated. The 9th. The 9th. Oh my God. This is really fun to watch, I'm sure, you guys. There we go. Okay. 10 a.m. Okay, let's search. So rental cars is about 3 oofda. Let's do price. Okay, it looks for like 250 bucks, I'm gonna say, because this is a great deal. It says 175. Let's do 250 for my buffer budget. You might want to find an exact car, but I'm gonna do, we don't have to do that under there. I'm gonna do rental car, $250. I mean, that was for the full trip. We want to make sure it's for the, yeah, total versus like per day, right? Okay, so we have a rental car in there. We have some shopping things. We're gonna do that, we're gonna do that, totally like in the National Forest or Park with the waterfalls, and that's free. But I'm gonna do the, she said $4 for the bathroom, so I'm just gonna budget like maybe $5 just to make sure that we get there. Gas, let's see how much. Watch me get all these ads for Puerto Rico now. Okay, so gas is very, I would say it's not that far off. Why is it so cheap? I feel like that's $3.69 a gallon. All you need to know about gas in Puerto Rico. This is too much. Okay, how much to spend on gas for Puerto Rico vacation rental car? Okay, 90 cents per liter, $3.40 per gallon when you rent a car. Okay, I don't think we're going to be spending, we're not going to be driving the entire time. And so I'm trying to think like at my house here in the States, if I'm just going to be like driving like to work every day, I might spend like 40 or 50 bucks max in a week of just like driving around. And so I'm going to put $50 that we're going to have for gas. And then again, when it comes time to it, if your budget is slim, then you know I cannot spend more than 50. And so we're going to do some more beach days. If this is your buffer budget, you know that you have some wiggle room. Okay, I also want to see local attractions in Puerto Rico and cost. Top rated tourist attractions. All right, let's see it. Old San Juan, that sounds free. Walking around, maybe a little bit of gas money. Love it. This is that national forest that she was already referring to. We saved a little bit of money. I might buffer it up just in case, like, I don't know, maybe they need, like, maybe we want to donate or whatever it is when we get there. But we'll definitely add this to one of our day trips. And I'm actually going to copy that right now. So as you can see, this can get like, you can do a pretty good job. Waterfalls, this isn't like the things to do. And this is just as I'm building out my budget, I like to say, oh yeah, I did budget for that specific thing. So I want to make sure that we add it to our like to-do list, right? Ooh, an island. It's 12 miles west, St. Thomas. And so basically I would go down a list like this and I would say, what are the types of things that are interesting to me? Surfing and whale watching. Maybe we decide whale watching prices in Puerto Rico. This is the very first thing that I saw, and it's $125 an adult. I guarantee you there are multiple companies with multiple prices. For the sake of this training, so that you guys don't have to watch me do this entirely, we're gonna do whale watching. And then I'm gonna put look up for the company that I want to use, but it was for sure 125 a person there. So I'm gonna do, and let's say this is something that was like big, like we're going in March because the whales are gonna be there, right? So it doesn't matter that it's 125 a person. We're gonna put 250 down and we're gonna go. And so as you see this budget come together, of course, we're going to have to say no to some things that we just either don't have time for, or it costs too much money, or it's not in the list of things that we both want to do. These caves would be right up my alley, so I'm definitely going to copy them. Let's add this to this, and we also need to look it up. So just as you can see here, looking at this budget, I also have this nice little pet sitter box because we have a dog and a cat, and it's good to know when you have 10 friends watching your pets for a 10-day vacation, who's on what. That way you know who to message that day, right? Okay, so let's come back. So we have shopping, food, accommodations, transportation. We do have a couple of tours in there. And then of course, passports, border fees. If you have to pay your pet sitter, let's say I'm going to pay them $150 while I'm gone. We already have our passports. We don't need any visas or anything. And so this is going to be our trip to March. We have like 6 weeks to pay for this. And so this is going to be, I'm going to say we're going to give us 2 months, because 9 times out of 10, you would not be doing this. I just thought of something also, 2 months before your vacation, right? The other thing that I just thought of, $454 for a flight for one person, Kelly. So we need to double this. Derek has to come on this vacation. We said we would include him. Yeah, we're not including him. We're really sorry. So $900 for a flight for both of us. I don't think that's bad considering it's, you know, crossing oceans. We have a rental car. We have everything that we might need. It's going to be $2,600. And let's say that we actually did this in a timely manner. Let's say this was something that we knew that we wanted. We're maybe like 8 months out. Then it's only saving $331 a month versus our last minute planning selves. It's going to be $1,300 a month. And so this gives you an idea. If you think about Christmas, if you think about, so on a holiday budget here, decorations, gifts, food and beverages, other expenses, pet outfits, clearly there's a theme, moving budgets, all of this, all of these mini budgets that we have here on this template are so much cheaper if you do it further out. And I know that's an obvious thing, and I'm challenging you. Wedding budget, I just actually created this after we paid for our wedding in cash. And I had a secret wedding budget for the longest time because I didn't tell anybody about our wedding. It was a surprise wedding. You can hear all about that another day. But these are literally every single thing that I was like, we had to either account for, pay for, or we had to say, that's not important in our life, we're not doing it. And so by looking at these budgets ahead of time, by your January self saying, how much do I need to spend for Christmas? You have 11 months to start planning for it. You have 11 months to say, do we need this? Do we need this? What do we normally spend? Let's look at our statements from last year and then actually start saving so that when November and December hit, I am talking to you because I know this is the truth, because this is what I used to do. November and December hit, your entire paychecks get devoted to the holidays, right? You don't have a penny to do anything else if it's not involving Christmas shopping, buying extra groceries, or like putting gas in the car for all the trips to see family. And still, January hits and we're broke as a joke and our credit cards are skyrocketing. So I tell this to you because I've learned the hard way. I've created tools to help you because this truly makes my life so much easier. You can now go to Puerto Rico. I just did this budget for you if anyone's going to Puerto Rico, for $2,600 for 2 adults, drinking plenty, buffering for plenty. And this was just us Googling the very first thing that we saw, right? What if you find hotels for like $75 a night? What if your hotel at $75 a night is all inclusive and you don't need food and beverages anymore, right? Let's just like wipe out, I'm gonna do dinner, I'm gonna put like $15. Maybe we'll leave the resort one time. Drinks, I'm gonna say it's gonna be also like basically wiped out. We're now only down to a $2,000 vacation. So you get my drift. Oops, I want to stop sharing my screen. There we go. You get my drift. That is what I think why a vacation budget is so meaningful to me, and what I think you can do with it, and why I think you should use it immediately to not only not just the vacation budget, these mini budgets in general, to break down some of these larger expenses. And then what you do is within your budget in that vacation line item, instead of maybe just having vacation, maybe you rename it to Puerto Rico, so you know exactly what you're talking about, and you start saying, okay, we need to save $800 a month or $1,500 a month or $200 a month, depending on how far in advance you're planning. And then you just start saving for it. And then it's done and it's happening and you're getting money, and you're not worried about, are we going to have enough for this? Am I going to come back and I'm going to be into debt? So that's kind of what I had for you today. I wanted to show you guys how easy it can be. And I just want you to send me a message, drop a comment below if you want this template. All of my clients should have it. People in group coaching also are working with it right now, but it is yours if you want it. So just let me know. And then I'm going to end the recording now and we can do a Q&A with those live. But thanks for everyone and have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. Bye.